This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
The air, we promised you Michelle Kaufman will be kind enough to join us from the Miami Herald. Follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. Let's bring her aboard. Michelle, how are you doing?
Good. How are you? I'm back in sports officially this week, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, no, I know. It's on my end. We're starting to put together the station and all that. So it's like finally it's happening, and then it's nice to see that it's moving in the right direction. I know that there was some talk today that multiple players were going to be able to work out today. What happened officially today?
Yeah, today is the first day that they're allowing small group workouts, small group training. So the Inter Miami was going to be submitting their plan last night. They were hoping to maybe even start today. I don't think they have actually started today. I guess maybe it's going to start Monday, but the league gave permission yesterday to elevate from individual workouts to small group workouts with like up to 6 players working in a group. And I was talking to one player yesterday, and he was saying that this will be the first time they are receiving a pass in like more than 2 months, because all the workouts they had done so far was just dribbling, shooting, lifting, running, stuff like that. But they have not been able to receive passes, which, as you know, is a big part of the sport, is receiving passes. So now that they're going to be able to work with their teammates, they'll be able to, to really get some meaningful workouts in. And then from what I'm hearing, the league plan is going to be out, early next week or sometime next week. We're going to know what the league is doing. And everything is pointing toward the Orlando plan that we discussed last time, probably beginning sometime in late June.
Okay. All right. That's good. So late June. Have they told you? Have they mentioned how many games? Are they going to try to get the entire schedule in?
No, they're talking about this is only going to be what I've heard with MLS is that they're using Orlando as a 30 to 45 day window because all the states are still so varied in their rules. This way they can have all the teams in one place. They could do a couple of weeks of regular, like a training camp. Then they're going to do a tournament, almost like a World Cup style tournament with round robin, knockout, whatever. And then the plan is that would basically go through July. And then in August, they would return to their home stadiums for the remainder of the regular season. So this is not to play their full season. This is it's basically to kickstart the league in one place with everyone under the same rules. And they're figuring that, by August, most of the states and cities would probably allow games to be played even behind closed doors. And they would, return to the home markets in order to play games at the stadium. So the plan, as I understand it, is that the Orlando thing is just for like 30 to 45 days of, preseason it's almost like a preseason tournament. And then they would resume in their regular home stadiums. But I'm almost certain it'll be behind closed doors.
Michelle, testing, how are they going about it? Are they testing the players every day, or is it just temperature? Or how are they doing this?
Yeah, they haven't said the details. I know that everyone has been looking toward the Bundesliga. I did a story, actually, that's going to run. It's online already. You can find it online, and it's going to be in Sunday's print paper, but it posted online yesterday. I did a big story about what they're doing in Bundesliga, what they're doing in the Danish league, which started yesterday as far as fans, how they're doing fake fan noise, artificial fan noise. Mönchengladbach had cardboard cutouts. A few teams in Germany are doing the cardboard cutouts where fans pay $20 and send in a picture of themselves, and then they make a life-size cardboard cutout, and they filled the stadium. They had 20,000 at one game, 20,000 fans, and even the opposing fans can buy. The opposing fans can buy one for them and put it in the opposing stadium. So when their team is playing, their cardboard cutout will be inside the stadium. And It's pretty funny. I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but
I've seen it.
the pictures look pretty good from a distance. You know, you see lots of faces, and they are the actual faces of the fans. They're just cardboard cutouts. And then the Danish league had a team yesterday that did something more interesting, which is something that MLS may look at. They had a team that set up a Zoom. 10,000 fans were able to Zoom into the stadium during the game live. So they had them all in like 500 different chat rooms. Each breakout room had 18 fans in it. And then they showed their images on giant screens all around the stadium. But the fans could actually watch the game on their TV and cheer into their computer screen. So there would be live cheering from actual fans that was being piped into the stadium.
That's cool. Yeah, I talked about that. I said they should hologram fans in, and then that way they're all sitting in their seats and they're being filmed at home and then hologrammed into their seat at the stadium.
Yeah.
You just do it with season ticket holders, and they have to understand that they have to behave. That if they don't, then they can risk losing their season tickets. And you know, I'm sure most of them will behave. When it's all said and done, when it's done that way.
But yeah, they're looking at all kind of creative ways to enhance the fan experience, because for now, you know, whether it's in Orlando or whether they go back to their home fields, it's going to be a long time still before fans can be there. So they want to still engage the fans, even if it's from a distance.
That's interesting. I'm glad that they're at least doing something along those lines. Now, the NFL has been talking about that they think they're going to have full stadiums, and I don't know if that's true or not. And you know, they can kind of do that because they've got a lot more time than everybody else, and they can watch everybody make their mistakes along the way. So you know, they can be bold that way. How does the MLS feel about later on in the year for fans? Is that something that still could be an option, or is that something that they're going to already eliminate?
They haven't talked about eliminating it yet, but I think it's going to have to be, they're going to have to see how things are in September, October. They're talking about this Orlando thing would probably go through July. Then in August, maybe they return to their home stadiums, but with no fans. Then maybe they would just allow limited fans at the beginning, maybe just, only season ticket holders or only, the supporters groups maybe would get to go at the beginning. They haven't eliminated the idea of, a regular full stadium, but I just think at this point, it's hard to even fathom that right now when they're still doing like group workouts of 6 and they have to have their temperature taken as they get to practice every day. And in Orlando, they're going to be tested multiple times a week. In the Bundesliga, they're testing the players twice a week. And particularly if they have a game, they get tested the day before the game. But every player's tested twice a week. And I think all the leagues are watching the Bundesliga, not just MLS, but I think Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, all the leagues that are getting ready to reboot are looking at the German Bundesliga because they put out like a 55-page protocol sheet, booklet, of everything they're doing. They're very, the Germans are very organized, and they went about this in a very organized fashion, and so far it seems to be working well. So, I talked to Alexi Lawless for my story, and he said that they're the benchmark. Bundesliga is the benchmark for every league in the world and every sport. And so far, he would give them an A. He thinks everything they've done has been, the right way. Careful, cautious, well planned out. And I think the other leagues around the world are following the lead of the Bundesliga. So, the Danish league opened again yesterday. Serie A is going to be opening up in a few weeks. La Liga, a lot of the different leagues are going to start opening, but following the same protocols that they're doing in Germany. And I think MLS will be right behind them.
Michelle, how do the losses, because we're hearing about how it's going to affect caps for other leagues next year. What is the MLS talking about with all these losses for them for next year? How does it affect their teams?
Yeah, well, I think part of it will depend on if they ever do get fans in the stadiums. The main thing now is to get some TV revenue. Right now there's been enormous losses. Obviously, Miami was just getting launched. They invested all that money in the stadium and everything. So I think it's going to depend. A lot of it is going to depend on whether they ever get fans in the stadium during this season. Because if they do, if they can get some fans in the stadiums in September, October, November, if they get 3 months in where they have fans coming and concessions and parking and merchandise and all those things that fans spend money on, they can probably recoup some of the losses. If they spend the whole season with no fans and people just watching from home, those losses are going to be monumental, So I don't think we know yet. I don't think we know. And, they're talking about obviously pay cuts for the players. Now I'm hearing 10% across the board. It had started at 50 for some players and, higher priced players. And then they went to 20% across the board. Now I'm hearing 10% across the board. So, because they've already made, quite a bit of money this year already, because we're already in June, almost in June. So I don't know. I mean, the finances, I think, are really going to depend on whether they can get fans in and how this thing goes going forward. How many games can they play? How many games are going to be televised? Are they going to be able to get a full season in, or is it going to be a partial season? That's all those things are going to have a huge effect on the finances.
All right, and you talked about that maybe last week when we talked about the international players that could be added. You said this could be a positive for Miami because so many other clubs around the world are all losing money, and so maybe the transfer and everything, the values for some of these players might be down because these teams might be more desperate to move certain guys. What are you hearing in that sense? And then the part two of that is, are you convinced that they're still going to add those 2 stars to this, season that's been kind of tough as it is already? Or do they just table it and say, you know what, let's start fresh next year? Tell me.
Well, I did. For the first time, I mean, Paul McDonough said, I spoke to him maybe 2 weeks ago, and he said that they're still shopping for those 2 players, but everything right now is on hold. Everything's in flux. The idea was to get them in like now, get them in by May. Even then, if you remember before the season, we were saying, oh, they're going to have, they don't want to wait till summer to get their top players. We should get them in the January window. They should get them in the January window. Why should they wait till summer? That's going to be well into the season. Well, now we are already in June now. So now that window has already passed. Now we're already in summer. The other day, for the first time, I heard him say, the question is whether we'll be able to get them in now this summer or whether we wait till January. So I already heard the January transfer window mentioned. If things can't get done this summer because of everything that's going on. So it could be possible that this season is just, I don't want to say a wash, and it's a shame for a team like Miami that's having its launch in Nashville. This was supposed to be the special year, and this year turns out to be a very strange year.
No, it's not their fault.
It's possible they just go with what they have and then get the big names in January. But he seemed to still like the idea of trying to get somebody for this season. The other one thing also that I didn't mention last week is because of all this extra time, the 2 forwards who were injured, which was Julian Carranza and Robbie Robinson, they're both now, training full. So, they're both coming along, and Julian had not done anything since January, and he's out there training now. And Robbie Robinson, if you recall, got injured at the DC United game.
Yep.
And the big thing was going to be like, oh my God, how long is he going to be out? And Julian is out too, so now they're going to have to get another forward. Well, now they've had months to rehabilitate. So in that sense, I think they're going to come back healthier when they go to their preseason training in Orlando or whatever. They're going to have some players that had been injured in March. So that's good. They've got, I think all the injured guys will be healthy. I think Nico Figal got hurt at some point in training or something, that he has some kind of knee injury, but it didn't look very serious. But I think they're going to come back healthy, and we'll see what happens. It's a very strange season. It's not at all what definitely not at all what Jorge Mas and David Beckham had in mind.
It's a strange year. It's a strange world. It's a strange time. It's just rough for everybody, man. And
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it. I contributed to a story today that Broward College, they just announced that they just made a Zoom call and told all of the coaches that they are canceling their entire athletic department for good, not just for this year. Done. No more sports.
Well, you know what? Last week, when Akron eliminated some programs, I said this is the start of a lot of schools that have been losing money with a lot of sports and with Title IX and all that. This is going to be their out on getting their budgets more straightened out because – and it's not a male or female thing. It's not a sex thing. It's just there's lots of sports on both sides that don't produce money, and this is going to be their out. And sadly, there's going to be a lot of kids that are going to lose out on opportunities to get scholarships to go get an education somewhere.
Yeah,
playing,
absolutely.
Different types of sports that aren't the money makers.
FIU dropped the men's track and field or men's cross country or track and field or something last week.
Yeah.
Broward College, like I said, they're dropping everything. They're just canceling their whole athletic department. They told all the coaches, they're all going to be let go. All of those athletes who are on scholarships, the junior college, but those athletes are on scholarships. They have a very good baseball program there. Several of those players have actually made the major leagues in the last 10 years. They have, soccer team, men's and women's. They have, all kinds of sports, basketball. All those programs are just completely going to be shut down. And it just came out of the blue. They just told them, hey, it's financial. We're sorry. Goodbye on a Zoom call. And that's it.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. That's sad.
Sad, man. Sad. A lot of people are going to and in life, a lot of people that lost jobs, a lot of these businesses, they're going to streamline and they're not going to come back with the same amount of employees. And so,
no, the whole economy is a very big trickle down, big domino effect.
Yeah.
Many people are affected. So many people are affected,
This stop from the president that thinks that we're all going to bounce back completely and really strong and really fast. He is completely wrong on that. This is going to be a struggle to come back because a lot of people have been devastated by this. And it's set so many.
Yeah, and even when they open, I went with my family. We went just to pasear yesterday a little bit and get out of the house. And we went to Brickell City Center, to walk around and everything. And, it's open, but there were very few people there. I felt so bad. I mean, I went in and bought some macaroons and some gelato from this one place because this woman is standing inside there in a mask by herself with these beautiful macaroons and colorful gelatos, and not a soul was buying anything, and those are designer stores in that mall. And you've got like one person working in each store standing there wearing a mask, and there were barely any customers. I mean, we were there, and there were, I don't know, there were maybe 50 people, whatever, in the entire mall.
Wow.
It's tough, and how are those stores going to pay the rent? How is this going to happen? Because if customers aren't there, if nobody's shopping, it doesn't matter if they say, hey, we're open, come back, we have hand sanitizers, everybody's wearing a mask, whatever. People are still not venturing out that much. They're really not, at least not yet.
And they're smart for not doing that. That's the way to go. Follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. Catch her work at the Miami Herald, and she's back doing sports every day, which is a beautiful thing. Michelle, thank you for taking some time. You're awesome. Look forward to talking to you again next week. Be good.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
There you go. The great Michelle Kaufman.